All right. We're gonna talk style fonts, media query, and well, we already talked about layout position. I don't know why I listed them down here. They should have been up near the top, right? Position static, we talked, is going to stack elements and is the default position with no other position defined. It is static. Relative is positioned in some direction from it, right? Could that be any more arbitrary? Yeah. I love talking about CSS because it's so like fluffy. It's like talking about clouds. It's like unless you've seen a cloud, you have no idea what I'm talking about.
I watched somebody make a cloud in CSS. It looks like the most confusing.
Dude, CSS SVG animations will melt your face off.
Yeah, that's what they were using.
People do incredible things with CSS. Animations, SVGs, stacks, it's mind-blowing.
I made a Minesweeper with just CSS.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah, that's like, dude, like we could spend weeks making a Minesweeper in JavaScript, like with the DOM. He's like, oh, just doing styles, it's fine. Absolute and fixed will show up a lot. Position relative to body of document and position and fixed position on page. I always have to look up the difference between those two, and we'll usually have to toggle one or the other to see what hell is what.
Fixed, the element's position can be to any part of the page.
Wow.
The element will remain in view no matter what. So it's like stuck.
Yeah, it's like fixed is like sticky.
So like you can scroll up and down and it'll stay right there.
And you gotta be careful with it because then it'll just override everything else.
Mm-hmm. Pushes everything out of the way. So, media queries. Media queries are super rad. They allow us to query like height and width and basically set. There's an example on line 119. It's like you can do a decorator at media with like a max width of like 768 is a pretty standard width, right? That's considered tablety width, right? It's not phone width, but it's tablety in portrait. So you can say something like, you know what, the max width is for 768 and the orientation has got to be portrait. And so whatever CS styles you put in there would only ever get applied to the screen of 768 or less, like your mobile computing device, your pocket computer. Alien. I got one. Pocket computers.
Yeah.
You will almost always see like a viewport patch. So the problem with CSS is it's been around for a really long time, right? It used to just be desktop browsers, and there was just this desktop browser. It was fine. And then everyone got a pocket computer and a tablet computer and a bigger computer, and everyone's got like an 11-inch screen on their computer. Yeah, just set this guy carrying around a whole desktop. So what you see is you'll often see this like meta viewport. Content width, device width, initial scale 1. Basically, it takes your site and like rescales it to whatever device you are on. So they talk about viewport.
Cool.
There is a pile of media queries beyond just like width and height of both the device and the viewport, landscape and portrait, as well as like resolution, like height, minimum height, maximum height, minimum width, minimum, maximum width. There's a lot more. Eric, have you used more media queries than just like these? Yeah, I mean, there's a pile of them I found, and I was like, I have no idea when you would ever use any of these. You might have a good reason to find them. If none of these really suit your needs, like these, and we'll get into it like with responsive design, like you set up breakpoints. And in fact, in about 10 minutes, we're going to talk about responsive design versus adaptive design for a minute. Because it's important to know off the top of your head. And it gives you like 2 days near the end of the course where we like rewrite something into responsive design. Because everyone's got a mobile phone, right? Mobile first. Who has not heard that phrase?
Okay.
Steve, I'm looking at you.
I haven't heard.
Mobile first.
Mobile first.
Sounds like a
Makes sense. I mean, everybody's got a
It makes
phone.
sense, but I've never heard that term.
Yeah, so the design terminology is mobile first. Eric, do you want to explain mobile first?
It's Yeah, so think about really any site. If you run analytics, probably a significant majority of their traffic will be on a smartphone. So basically what Loop first does, the approach on a desktop, you're going to call kind of a pretty advanced layout. On a phone, that should always be single. That's what it is.
I just got a really nice way,
Yeah.
plain, like that's what you end up doing. Like mobile first is like you build a page to work on mobile, like first, like you don't design this elaborate desktop and then try and tear stuff out to make it fit. You start with a 5-inch screen. And what does navigation look like on a 5-inch screen? Well, you certainly don't have like a 10-column like nav bar across the top. You have godforsaken hamburger. Or the new, what's the new hamburger? Hamburger 2017. It's a more menu. It's 3 dots now instead of a hamburger. Where do you shove all the shit you don't know what to do with it? You put it in the more menu.
Well, they were saying, I was reading just recently about the majority of people are accessing the internet on their phone. They're not even using laptops or any kind of computer.
Well, when you pay $70 a month for a nice smartphone compared to like some gaming computers that I've seen go over $2,000, and even like a regular laptop nowadays that can be useful instead of $500. Like, it's expensive.
Yeah. Not only that, like bandwidth is expensive. Internet access in rural areas is paltry, poor at best.
And lower socioeconomic status people will most likely have some sort of phone device.
Yep.
As opposed
to a computer and internet at home.
Yeah.
Like those two things coupled together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's $200-300 a month. Like there's a certain break point in social. Yeah, where they're the low-end Android phones, right? They run Android, they have a touch screen, they do apps, they have a very slow processor. They're usually on T-Mobile on a paid data wrap, either PCS, Metro, Boost. Like data is a big, like they cache as much as humanly possible and try not to use data outside of that, right? That's just a fact of life. So the idea of mobile design first is like you design it for mobile, then once you scale up to then you hit these breakpoints, you scale up and add additional feature context to enrich that experience. That's when you start to see a lot of like the media queries. Like you do this thing under 480 would be phone portrait, 768 would be tablet portrait, and then 1024.
What was the first one?
480.
480 was about.
Yeah, there's a link in the notes for like all the devicey things. That is the whole extent of media. Right? It basically allows you to target certain environments. Right? We think of it like we're using media in the context of like page and other size, or mobile, tablet, that sort of thing.
Dude, mydevice.io/devices will bring up this super extensive list.
What is it?
mydevice.io.
So we're going to talk about preprocessors and then responsive versus adaptive, and then I have another quick challenge for you. Hooray! Success! So, why do we use preprocessors? Oh, perfect. Man.
So that it doesn't run up your data on your phone.
Not quite.
I don't know.
So preprocessors include LEFS, SAS, Stylus, CSS, Smith, and Rework. I had to look up those last three. I was like, how are these? Preprocessors basically compile to CSS. Like they're basically a superset of CSS stuff. So rather than writing raw CSS, you would write in LEFS or SAS, and literally .lass, .scss. Like those are the 5 extensions. I don't know what CSS Crush extension is. Maybe not Crush. I don't know. And you do this for a couple reasons. So think about the project we just did. We found the color blue. It was, what was it, 55 FFCC?
Switch it, CCFF.
55 CCFF. Now imagine there are, I don't know, 97 references to that color in our project, in our app. And your client comes in, or Cindy, and says, hey, that blue is too blue. They get less blue. Guess what?
You have to go and change all of that.
You have to go and change all of them. Now you could probably go like find all and replace with your IDE. You still have to go check all of it, because you're still going to miss at least 3 or 4. That sounds like a terrible waste of a weekend, a happy hour, or lunch. CSS inherently does not have variables. That's kind of a problem. Like, so when we write these with like less and Sass, like we had the best example I can give you is we had a whole color scheme for the last app that I was working on, and they were all like PLS-orange. I had no idea what hex color it was, but I knew exactly that it was the orange we always used everywhere. It was defined in one spot, PLS-orange, and I could use it anywhere in my Sass files, and I got the exact right color. So now, if we want to lighten or change that, we just go to the one spot and change the hex on PLS-orange, and it changes everywhere. There's a way to totally escape out and globally define those, like this is how we do like buttons, or like this is a color scheme patterns. Like this is a way to create a single, use it and stop. Like it's close to blue, but it's not quite blue. And what was the hex? Mine was FFCC, and yours was CCFF, and whatever. Like you just use it from a global stance.
So if you have 6 different areas that you wrote that color, you have that one, the less. All you need to do is just change that less and automatically update those 5.
So on those 5 instances, I would, instead of doing font color 557788, I would do font color PLS-orange. And that orange is just a variable reference to whatever hex I put in, whatever hex I called it. Right? There's also duplication. This is what I was talking about earlier. Like all the browser radius corners are slightly different. There's like WebKit's got their own like WebKit -radius, like right, left, something, and like Mozilla's is even like inverted, I think. But who cares? I don't. So when we write it less, it compiles out to prefixed browser types. So we don't ever have to, I just write it one way, and less will compile that out for me. Like any sort of browser diffs, whether it's radius cornices or, Eric, do you know any others off the top of your head? Yeah, there's a laundry list of radius of like specific bullshit that this just escapes out. Like now I just remember the less way to write radius corner, and now I have rounded buttons and I have circle. And it will just write like when it's compiled. So it's a lot like using Babel, right? It's going to compile from Sass or less to CSS, and out she goes, right? We're not sending out Sass or less. It will compile down to CSS, and that stuff will go out. Also, trying to get to deeply nested, if anyone has had this experience, trying to find a nested element under like 8 or 9 things is a bloody nightmare. Sass or like these preprocessors allow you to sort of like block or bunch them together in like 1 or 2 nested, like so you don't get this like 6 or 7 nested thing. Like you can do them in chunks and blocks that are way easier to read. Like it's not like callback hell where they go like 5 or 6 or 7 deep. You're just like, oh, 1 or 2. Okay, that's fine.
When you inspect MDN code source, it's like div on div on div on div on div on.
Yeah, you can actually go in that far. No, they use something like this too. And then you also get something like calculation. So if you were doing like the HTML body font is like 16, but we want the font on our header 1 to be the body font plus 8.
It's where keeping things standardized.
Yep. And the body, like the H2 would be the HTML font plus 6 plus 3. You see where I'm going with this? Like This allows us to make because we can variabilize stuff, we can now make calculations based on the size of other things, whatever that relative size is.
It's like a guessing.
Yeah, and then if you change the body font size, it changes everything else.
Right, so the headers are based on the size of the body font. So if I change the body font, guess what? These all scale accordingly. I don't have to change this one and then spend my weekend like recalibrating the headers because that sounds off.
It's the equivalent of global variable.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And then there's importing, so now we can break up our file into like actual consumable chunks. We can import the font family right at the top header, rather than doing like in our index page, style script, import this font, import this font, import this font, import that. We just make a single style like SAS or less file and put the imports there, and it will go get all shit because it has to compile, right? Just like JavaScript, or just like Babel. It's got to go out, it'll get all the imports, pile them together, and then it gives us this one golden nugget. Bing, like that. Bing. What are the downsides to using preprocessors? Other than the fact that you have to set up the compile? I mean, literally nothing. You also see there's a whole host of them. So we wrote in SAS. In the past, I've written in SAS, not to be confused with SAS. I don't know. These are pretty close. There's like some syntactical difference. Last stylus, like they're all close, but vaguely different, and they're way better than Jade, in that templating that we were using earlier. Not to bag on Jade, because hugs to Jade. That's not true, I hate Jade. So that is why we use a preprocessor. The super duper guy. Oh, here are your resources, Wendy. Mastering CSS principles. This is a monster list of like conceptual overview. And the other one is the ultimate list article. I got that one for you. This one is, I was like, this is like, it's just pages and pages of links. Like it's like title and then like 10 links and it's like topic and then like 10 more links. I was like, good Lord. That was a good nugget. That was a good find.
Wow.
Is that under smashing?
Yeah, that one's under on line 152. The super duper guide. All right, we are going to look at animated example of responsive versus adaptive. Oh, that's not it. All right. So here's a really nice animated GIF. Not a GIF. If you say GIF, get out of my class.
Oh man.
Sorry. Sometimes
You're going to catch a lot of people with that one.
there's no compromise. No, it's you can say it any way you want. It's a good way to start a flame war.
Unless you say yeah.
Yeah, if you say YIF, then if you say YIF like yarp,
I say yeah, sir. Not that much.
like your Jiffy peanut butter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the top one is responsive, and the bottom one simulates adaptive. You can see how the sides kind of squeeze in. It looks better on my computer.
So adaptive is more like Bootstrap. Because like when you use Bootstrap and then you change the screen size, it has a scaffolding based on the width. It'll actually roll over from like horizontal layout to completely vertical on a small screen.
Yeah, is Bootstrap adaptive by nature? Yeah, I guess that's right. Not to say that you can't use the Bootstrap library.
I thought it was both because I remember doing the course and you can make it adaptive according on certain things, but the grid is adaptive. And the grid is how you get like 3 blocks of things across.
Yeah.
And then when you change,
That's the
it'll
scaffolding.
sit to 2.
So that's
it'll go to
adaptive.
1.
So we used Bootstrap as a core, and ours was responsive. Oh no, ours was adaptive. I lied. And so this one's really saying like, so as the sites come in a responsive design, like it recalculates and is constantly, it basically is constantly responsive to the size. which I've always thought, like, when you open a device, you either, like, my phone or my tablet or my desktop, like, it's going to be a certain size. So adaptive really that works just fine. Like, I don't know anyone that takes their screen browser and does this all day.
Well, you're not going to do that on a mobile device
On a
anyway,
mobile
right?
phone,
You're going to do it on your desktop.
Well, but you go from portrait to mobile, but that can be adaptively snapped, right? So so there are two camps, and you can subscribe to either one. Depending on what your business goals are, will probably help drive the solution. As far as like lift and details out, like as long as you spearhead one of them up front, the effort's the same.
Adaptive's a little more easy to work with them. Because like you can easily just set things to be adaptive, but when it's responsive and the way it's doing that, that'll mess up everything.
Yeah, well, everything gets pushed in sort of like
Well,
constant.
It sure seems like response is going to take more resources.
Yeah.
Like I was making a
I think as long as you start responsive from the get-go, like if you try and make it a site responsive or adaptive, you're certainly going to get more bang for your buck to just make it adaptive, right? But if you start with mobile first and a responsive design, right, you've already set up your foundation to scale as the thing grows, and then you don't really have to worry much about breakpoints. So that's almost like I guess there's a trade-off there, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to worry about 480 or 760 or 1080. Like obviously at certain points, certain things will start to come in, and you will probably still use media queries to be like, okay, at a certain point, like I can do this with the nav bar, and the nav bar needs to be able to know at what size to do that. So you're still going to query out those sizes, but
So you focus on elements then rather than the internal.
yeah. Let's see if we've got another. Ooh, more examples. Oh, hold on. Let me get rid of this giant advertisement.
so
Yeah, you can see how it just kind of snaps into place. This is static units versus relative units. So it's like relative by percentage, right? 800 pixels is always 800
And we're
pixels.
talking containers here, right? Obviously,
Mhm.
the text inside is going to.
Yeah, it's going to do its own thing.
All right.
that's what I was saying. That's how you can run into trouble with
Yeah, so
responsive because of the way the text will behave.
this would be an example of like media breakpoints, right? So you set a breakpoint at 480. So this is 7, and then as soon as you break into that, those elements just so the CSS, you've literally written different CSS for this, right? 7.8, 768, 480, 768, and 480, right? This one doesn't have any breakpoints. It's still going to try and percentage out that same thing. I really like this page. I can just watch these all day. It's like, oh.
That was cool.
Yeah, you can do so much amazing stuff with CSS.
There's a Udemy course. The guy references a page and it shows all the things you can do with CSS.
Yeah, there's some wild stuff out there. So like these would be considered nested elements, right? They all move as a coordinated group, as opposed to like, right? So when we're doing mobile, right, I think we've all seen this one where we're like, and all the things like start to come, like they all start to like follow you, and you're like, this is weird, as opposed to like grouped and nested things. Oh, that's fun. I haven't seen that. I forgot about that one. So there's system fonts, which like Google Fonts or something else, like you import those into your CSS style and then you reference them. So you basically go get a font and use that font in the browser, as opposed to relying on whatever random system font Steve has on his computer.
Well, that, yeah.
which are different than
I was-
Wendy's.
I was reading
They're
about
different
that,
than mine.
like, when you're thinking of fonts, you have to think about what the user's computer has, which is why you do, like, on the Code Academy, they were saying, you put like a fallback font in case their computer
Yeah.
doesn't have it, but with Google Fonts, you can
So
do it on everything.
fonts used to have like you would put down, you would like in a hierarchy and like almost an array. You would say, what fonts? Do this one. If that one's not there, try this one. If that one's not there,
And then it ended on serif or
Yeah.
sans serif.
and the last one. So if you ever went to a web page, it was like sans serif, and your computer's just hosed. Like if you throw out all your fonts and surf the web, it's just like, oh my god.
But the Google font, anybody
Yeah, so it's totally, yeah, so if you can load the web page, you can go get Google Fonts, right? So I don't know that there's probably other ones besides Google Fonts. I just don't know anyone that's ever. We always just use it. It's such an easy CSS Zen Garden.
Yeah.
Can we post that in Slack?
Yeah.
can.
So-
Google Fonts.
Google Fonts is cool. Yeah, so you can set. So this is really interesting. So this is max width of this, like little red square. So you're saying like this square has a maximum width of this. So regardless of how big, how much area he gets, he only gets to be that big. And so this is based, these two guys are based on his max width. So you'll see how they stay under his little guy, as opposed to these guys that are just like, shit, yeah, I'm over here. Like he has no max width, so he's just gonna grow with as big of a container as he can possibly get.
What website is this?
It's in the,
It's not.
oh, I forgot to push it.
Fastcodedesign.com.
I'll push it.
Thank you, Shane.
You're welcome.
What is this one?
Yeah, I forgot I added these after lunch.
Okay. So
I'll push them in. I'll put them in like that. Yeah, so you can start to see like which translates to which. Like, it really is an interesting sort of like, it's kind of trippy. It really could. I could just watch it all day.
I like how lazy I like that.
Yeah. So if you do it right. Yeah. Notice how vector or images don't really scale. They got a little blur.
Pixel.
Vectors, SVG graphics. It's something vector graphics. I don't know what the S stands for. Scalable vector graphics, maybe.
Yeah.
That sounds like
because raster images don't scale very well.
yeah, not for garbage. Not for garbage. That's a word. And back to responsive and adaptive. It is.
Garg, you said you put that in Slack?
Yeah. CSSZengarden.com.
So that is sort of the responsive adaptive, like a taste into responsive adaptive. So media queries, responsive adaptive, all those kind of go hand in hand together. Some super cool resources. We talked about precompilers. Bootstrap is tomorrow.
What that on that fast code design? What on the website? What's the link to actually get to that?
Oh, here, I'll put that. CSS.
That's pretty cool.
Want to see
There.
what might be the coolest one? A robot engine.
A robot engine.
Oh, that skill one is pretty good. The last
Hey, Ricky, I just posted that.
Oh, great, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
Finally.
I like you've been pining over it for days.
Well, this just awesome. Like, you know,
All right, this one is this one's going to be a little more difficult, CodePen wise for you guys. So here's your challenge number 2. So if we look at it, it should. Oh man, it's 4 cards. Boy, that is a whole blank pile of nothing.
Thanks.
What you were going to do. Like that. Right click and spit.
wait, what are we?
Damn it, Wendy. So here's your code challenge. Here's what you're gonna make. Here's challenge. Here's what you're gonna make. Challenge. Here's what you're gonna make. Here's challenge. Here's what you're gonna make. Challenge. So you'll notice that I went ahead graciously and dipped out your 4 cards. That was exhausting. So let's talk about this before we get started, so we all get started on the right page, right? So the first thing to do is to get your card to do this. This sort of like, you've got 4 of them. And yes, this link is in the thing, and yes, you can inspect this. But I would encourage you to play with it a little bit before you jump in and inspect it. So you can fill this out with your own name and stuff. Your third one can be favorite movies or favorite pies or favorite socks or favorite pants. And see if you can put in like, I don't know, you know, let's stick with movies.
How many movies do you need?
1, 2, 3. 3 of your favorite movies. And then a card footer.
So does that site actually exist? Because I tried to pull it up and it's not here. lewagon.github.io.
No, that's not the whole site.
That's
So not likely. Yeah. The whole thing does, you can come in and inspect it if you want to.
CSS challenge.
How do you?
Hold the control button and click the link, and then it should be up.
I'm not gonna inspect it, look, it's cheating.
You feel like it's cheating? I just want to know what the hell.
Well, because then you can just inspect, you could easily just copy paste. Oh, guys, I did it.
Well, this is true. But you can probably come in and at least look like card, text center. There's some box shadow, border radius, margin, padding. Like there's some things in there that are worth looking at. I would encourage you to try and find like, well, you're programmers, do it any way you want. Then we'll do show and tell in at 4 o'clock. Does that sound good?
What?
Show and tell at 4.
All right. Yeah. Ish.
Yep. You have an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Just make it however you want.
Well, following these 4 boxes. So
Yeah.
your third card should probably be 3 of your favorite movies with poster art. The first card can be a picture of you with like some sort of synopsis. And what you do with the 2 cards in the middle is it's all yours. You can follow this verbatim, like your Facebook and your LinkedIn and your Twitter link.
This is when I go to Sublime.
So,
Autofill.
so we will do a show and share at 4 o'clock.
Are we doing it in this?
Yeah, you can do it in CodePen.
2 little cool.
Yeah, the idea of using the CodePen is just so that we don't have to be like, make an HTML file, connect the thing together, connect the thing together, connect the thing together, and now everybody start 30 minutes later. We can just go to this website and just make a thing. If you sign in and fork it, then we can share. Actually, if you sign in and fork it before you get started, you can share your project link in Slack so everyone can look at yours. Maybe that's a good idea. You can sign in with GitHub. Leave your credit card numbers with me. That's not true. You guys are probably all as broke as I am.
That's why I like this is so cool.
And then tomorrow we are going to do a deep dive into boot camp. Eric is going to take us on a whirlwind tour. That's what I said.
I said boot camp.
Yeah. Bootstrap.
This one.
Has anyone heard from Nate today?
I texted him, he didn't text me back.
All right.
How do you get it to where when you type in the HTML tag, Prints out like this, pretty much the layout.
Skeleton,
Yeah.
that's like a built-in function for a lot of like text editors.
Yeah, it's code snippet for HTML, usually Doc5 or something else.
Well, like with Sublime, you just put an HTML and hit tab, and it'll give you a skeleton.
Yeah, it'll drop those out for you.
There's probably a package you can download for like Atom, VS Code, well, from Microsoft. I really like writing HTML. Stuff like that. Alright.
Apparently, my little boy's at the Rainforest Cafe, just hanging out.
That's the place.
Looks like he's about to be abducted. There he is. Looks like he's having a pretty good time.
There. You're able. Yep. This is underneath.
Yeah. Oh, you showed me that already.
Watch.
Yeah, you showed me that.
Oh, that's so cool.